Welcome to the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial. I'm your host, Jason Pugh, joined as always by the head Demon to start things off, head coach Brad Laird. And coach, let's just dive right in. Saturday at Lamar, the first three quarters, you're even with them. You're making the plays you want to make. Finish was the word, kind of the word of the week. And Lamar was able to have a little stronger finish. We've had a couple of days to kind of digest everything and look at the tape. I know you saw some good things, and you saw some things, again, you want to work on.
Yeah, just didn't execute to the end of the word that we talked about. We did so many things during the week to finish. We had a lot of consistency for the last couple of weeks. But when it came down to some situations in the fourth quarter, we didn't finish. We had opportunities to get it done, and when you go back and you really dive into you look at a couple of different things. The missed opportunities that we had offensively, had some opportunities there to make some plays, some guys in some one-on-one situations that, you've seen them come up with those plays. You've seen them in games come up with those plays. It just, it didn't happen. And then, sustaining momentum. Momentum's such a huge part. We always talk about the three phases, and rightfully so, but that M word, does play a big role, and we couldn't sustain it. And, I thought there was a situation in the first half and a situation in the second half where we had that opportunity. The first one was, we went down there, we had the block punt, being down 7-0, had a short field, offense converted, tie the game up 7-7. Kickoff return for a touchdown, momentum just instantly swap right there. We get it back slowly but surely. You look at, defense kept playing well, keep them out of the end zone, keeping us having the opportunity to win the game, to get it to where we had two long field goals by Brett, 45 yards and 48 yards to get it to 13-13. Then kick off, and they have, they only had really two drives the game. They had a 4-play, 75-yard drive. You could probably look at a third down on that. Great throw and catch by them. But they got the momentum back, and we couldn't finish after that. And so, learn from those and how we can get better moving into game 2 of conference.
There were a couple of more drives, much like 2 weekends ago now against Eastern Illinois. You had some long, sustained drives that finished with 3s. You want to finish those with 7s. Does it feel, as you continue to stack those drives on each other, do you feel it's a matter of maybe just one of those ending up in the end zone, and maybe, I don't know if everybody's pressing is the right word, but you feel sometimes when you're in a situation like this that there is some pressure, maybe self-inflicted or self-induced pressure, if you can finish that 8, 9, 10 play drive that maybe loosens things up?
Yeah, and I think confidence too is another word maybe you're trying to find, because, man, if you look offensively the last 2 weeks, we talked about it last week. We had 5 drives, 10 plays or more, another 7, so you had 6 drives, 7+. This past week, 3 drives, 11 plays or more, one of them a 14-play drive, but those 3 drives, we got a combined total of 3 points. You just got to be able to finish. You got to finish those drives. We got to find ways, once the field, gets a little smaller, you get down in the red zone on the plus side of the field, we got to be able to convert. Somebody's got to step up and make a play, and I think once we do that, you're going to see the confidence take off offensively.
Well, there's probably no more confident unit in the red zone than your defense.
No doubt.
Number 2 nationally, opponents are scoring less than 61% of the time, which is an amazing number. And again, it was kind of the same thing. You bow up, and sometimes there's a little bit of luck involved. You hit it upright on a short field goal, but that counts as a stop. It wasn't 7, and in that case, it wasn't 3. But again, that's a unit that seems to, once their backs hit the 20-yard line, stands up and plays with a lot of pride. And they played with a lot of pride from basically the first drive on. And you touched on it yesterday when we talked. A lot of that was kind of getting your eyes and getting settled. But Weston Gloucester's unit the last 3 quarters, 190 yards allowed.
Yeah, and I think to go back to your first part of that, talking about the red zone defense, that's just been a consistent aspect of Coach Glosser since he's been here. I mean, you go back to last year, and not just red zone, but backs against the wall, short field, sudden change. You can, work sudden change in practice and work red zone, but, when it happens in a game, those guys step up, just, from great play calling to some great plays. And, it's been fun to watch that group just continue to battle, no matter where they are on the field. Backed up, red zone, they really step up because and understanding, the importance of that part of the field and what's got to happen to keep them off the scoreboard.
We'll look ahead toward Nichols rather now, and you and I touched on this, and we're going to go a little bit more into detail. I think now it's kind of a little more relaxed setting. It's not as much for other media use. This is more of a kind of a talk show format. I'm a big baseball guy. I've worked with our baseball team here for 10 years now. And you see a lot of times, I think the understanding there is you're around each other a lot of times for a weekend. And it's the same way when you're with the guys across the field. Touched on it yesterday. I know Tim Rebo's one of your probably closest friends in this conference, if not maybe your best coaching friend in this league. For football coaches, where does the camaraderie really start to build? Yeah, you're going to knock heads for 3 hours on Saturday, so you put that to the side. But where does that build? I mean, is it on the recruiting trail? Is it through, talking with each other about X's and O's? Where did that friendship kind of blossom for you and Tim?
Well, I think, it goes back. We knew each other prior to, the positions that we're in now. But I would say for us, just the respect that I have when you turn on the film. That says a lot about, not necessarily the record or this and that, but when you turn on the film and you watch guys that play hard. Just got through watching a segment of their kickoff team and just flying down the field. You respect that. As a coach on the other side, when you turn on the film and see guys play with that passion, and ultimately that starts at the top. And and so I would say, once I got into the position that I am, it kind of started from there, and then over the last 5 to 6 years at head coaches meetings and things like that, just have a lot of similarities, when it comes to, he's a big baseball guy. He loves baseball. Of course, I like baseball too. And so just, those types of off the field similarities that you have. And, but I think it all starts with respect of what you see on film, because that starts at the top.
Well, you've learned a lot about baseball the last couple of years, haven't you?
Yeah.
More so maybe than ever?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, it's way over my head, but it's been fun to follow my son and the opportunities moving forward. But it's because my love was basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to be the next Michael Jordan, but I couldn't shoot, couldn't run, couldn't jump. So that was an issue. And so I did play baseball. They asked me to switch hit, which a lot of people think that, man, that's awesome. They have you switch hit, but I couldn't hit from the right side, so they thought I could be a little closer from the left side if I bunted to be able to get to first base because I couldn't hit. So that was the extent of my baseball career.
So were you a point guard? I mean, at least I'm sure you were the passing leader here in yards. Pretty sure you could pass basketball.
Yeah, to Scotty Thurman. If nobody knows Scotty Thurman, 1994 Arkansas Razorback hits the shot. Game-winning shot in the national championship game against Duke with 51 seconds from the right corner. Yeah, but I had him and his brother, and his brother was probably the best of both of them. And one thing I did know where to throw the ball to, who was going to score, because you get assists because of that. So I was smart enough to know that.
Hey, look, if anyone can hit Scotty Thurman, you should pick up at least a couple a game.
No doubt.
As we kind of look ahead, we touched on your relationship with Coach Rebo, but when you look toward Nichols, when you get back on the road, second of a back-to-back road swing, second time this year you're on the road for back-to-backs. Does anything change from week to week when you go to that? I mean, obviously the team changes, the locations change, but when you're in the backside of a two-game road trip, does anything change?
No, especially this week. Game time's the same. The format Friday and Saturday will almost be the same, so there's a lot of similarities. The part that, this week when you look at Nichols, we started in 1973 was the first time Northwestern State and Nichols plays, so this is going to be the 51st meeting. And then you talk about the battle of NSU, Nicholls State University, Northwestern State University, that started back in 1993. And there's been 30 meetings, and just to kind of show you how this game has been, I think we've won 16, they won 14. So it's a very tight matchup. You know what you're going to get when you play a Nicholls football team, and so we've got that NSU trophy that will definitely show the guys, and want to bring that back Saturday afternoon.
I'll tell you what, it took a heck of a comeback to bring it in last year, and that was really seemingly a bit of a springboard for this team where the confidence really seemed to grow. Yeah,
it did. Just guys finishing, guys making plays there at the end of the game to give us the opportunity, to be successful. And so, looking for the same aspect here, because when you look at this conference, since 2018, there's only been one team that has won the conference undefeated. There's been more teams that have won it with 2 losses. There's been twice since 2018 that a team has won it with 2 losses. So a lot of football left, and this football team is close. It's close to just having that confidence to springboard us through the rest of the season.
Well, a lot of football left. We've got a lot of show left. We'll be back with defensive coordinator Weston Glosser as the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial Group, rolls on here on YouTube.
Whether it's in the trailer, behind the camera, or on the air, NSU has a place for you. Learn the ins and outs of an ESPN broadcast while getting a full-fledged education in sports media or broadcast journalism. Northwestern State University, New Media, Journalism, and Communication Arts. Learn more at nsula.edu/newmedia.
Welcome back to the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial Group, joined now by defensive coordinator Weston Glosser. And Coach, really from the first drive on, once the first drive happened Saturday, your unit stood tall. We talked with Coach Larry, and we'll talk a little bit with you about it. The red zone's success you guys have had, but really from the first drive onward Saturday, you pretty much took that red zone approach and put it everywhere on the field. What has made your group so successful, and this is not the first time this has happened, making in-game adjustments and taking what you guys make as those adjustments and putting it into practice?
I think Saturday, the big thing really that first drive was calming down. They had done a couple different motions, things like that really kind of messed with our guys' eyes, but the ability to calm down, and you look at that first drive, they marched down the field and scored. And a couple of times we had some big third down opportunities that we didn't convert on. One of them we sent a pressure off the edge, loop guy loses contain on the quarterback, he's right there, and safety ends up tripping up and falling down, and that's the outlet the quarterback found, and then we couldn't capitalize on another third down. And so that was big, being able, we've had a lot of success this year getting off the field on third downs, and that was something we fixed in the game moving forward after that, but I think that was big on that drive. And then really our guys just settling in and playing ball. And, they embrace the mentality, and we talk about red zone, we talk about sudden change, which for us as a defense, we call it sudden challenge, because that's what it is for us, is a challenge to go out and bow up and eliminate the points. And our guys have embraced that. And that's one thing we talked about Sunday, that ability to fight back for our guys. When their backs are against the wall, they believe in what's happening. They play physical, play hard, keep them backed up. One of the drives I was most proud of them about, it was towards the end of the third quarter. And we're talking to our guys about the win. The win was a big factor Saturday, and I told them that here's how much time's on the clock. We've got to go 3 and out right here, so that way they have to punt in the win, let our offense have the win for a minute, and they were able to do it. And so being able to accept those challenges has been big, and right now for our guys, it's a big challenge. And, moving and continuing to build and keep moving forward. And my message to them Sunday was a good one. Sometimes you go to church and you feel like the pastor's speaking to you, and that happened Sunday for me, but being able to talk about that decision and that choice you make right now of, we really have 2 options we can go, and making that right decision and moving forward this week and getting things corrected where we need to be.
Coach Laird has mentioned so many times this year the word consistency, and it's been finish, but consistency. One guy 2 guys, and you pretty much talk about them side by side, is Buck Ward and Jared Pedraza. For you coming in, and it was something that's going to stick out with me, the last game before you came in, Jared Pedraza, 4 sacks in a win at McNeese. when you come in and you turn on that film, what did you see from him? And then what has made him, dare I say, a bit more of a complete linebacker in the 2 years with you?
The one thing you're always going to get with JP is passion. And that's the biggest thing. He has a huge love for the game. And so every day he's going to work, he's going to fight, he's vocal, you know where he's at. And so that makes him easy to coach. And the big thing for him, you see that film, he has the ability. He has, the talent to be highly competitive, a player, make a difference on our defense, which he does game in and game out, especially this year. I think he's led the defense in tackle 3 out of the 5 games. But for him, his coachability, and he understands the game. He understands what we're doing. He's always one of the first people that when they jog off the field that, me and him talk, hey, what are you seeing? What did you have here? What are you feeling? Because he's very, very, effective in being able to communicate what he's seeing on the field, what he's getting, what's happening up front. And he's a guy that you really lean on because of his football IQ and intelligence. And the guys follow him because, like I said, you're going to get every play. And both those two, they've played a lot of snaps this year. They're dinged up, but they never let you know it. And it's the normal injuries, bumps and bruises you get through a football season. But those two are going to go out there and give every single thing they got. And you put them two on the field. You talked about Buck Ward. Those two together, there's times they look at each other. I don't even think they verbally communicate, but they know where each other are going to be and what's happening. And that's the chemistry and relationship they've developed. And it's a respect for each other. It's the love for the game. It's their work ethic. And, man, that's a good group of linebackers you have out there playing together. And so, I think Saturday they played every single snap and didn't come off the field. And that's a big testament to them and what they do.
It also has to mean that he can do more than both of them. You're fine dropping them. You're fine using them different ways. They're complete in what they do. It's not a 2 down and off, and it's not just a specialist.
And that's the big thing for those two is they allow us to be versatile. And the last couple of weeks, we tweaked a little bit in the bye week, and you see those guys able to play, 4-2 defense, plug where we need them to plug, fill gaps, drop in coverage. But then also we've moved to some 3-down looks, allowing them to play in space. I know you look at Jared Pedraza, for example, he's from Illinois. He's out over a number 3 receiver off of motion, makes a huge play out in space. And so their versatility to be able to play in the box, play outside in space, it is big for us as a defense, and it's allowed us to tweak some coverages a little bit, do some things that, help us out schematically, and that's a big testament to those two.
You mentioned nonverbal communication. I'm understanding that they're trying to teach Buck a new language that is verbal. It's JP and Ty Ely?
Yes, sir, and found that out at practice last week. So they're trying to teach him Spanish during practice, which I couldn't tell you what they're saying, but it's very interesting hearing Buck out there trying to speak in Spanish. And, if they can get our calls that way, it'll be good. And I know for those two, I don't know what language they're speaking out there, but it's been good for them. It's been working, so they need to keep doing it.
So you got a little Texas Spanish. I guess Texican. Is it Texican there or Texan Spanish with Jared? And then Ty is from California. I wonder if there's any difference in the dialect.
I'm sure there is. I'm not very smart. I took a couple semesters of Spanish at college, but I know they told me it was wrong. So, I'll stick to the English on that one.
Pass those classes, though.
Pass
Yeah,
them, absolutely.
hey,
yeah,
look,
yeah.
C's for degrees.
No
Get
doubt.
through there. Looking ahead toward Nichols, and let's go back real quick before we do. And a guy that we've talked about seemingly every week had another big couple of moments in Donovan Green, and just hard to get over the progress he's made since he's been here and what he's meant to this defense. He may have had the block kick. Not sure it was him. Not sure it was Johnny. We'll leave it to the stat people. They called Donovan. We'll stick with that. Sorry, Johnny, if you're watching. We'll work on that later. But the big sack there. I think that may have been that 3rd down you were talking about, kind of in that 3rd quarter. Comes through and makes a play, and it's one that again he's kind of rounding into a full, well-rounded defensive tackle.
And I think for him, and just to continue to reiterate about Donovan and what he's able to do, of the work ethic, who he is, and how he prepares is big. And he's a guy that even last year, like I said, we was able to grow and learn in our defense. We changed it, but understanding 4 down our fits and the angles of what we need to do. And one thing Coach Gistorb has done an unbelievable job with those guys is understanding even little tendencies. Which hand down, is where you're going, how you hide it, how you hide your footwork, what you see from the offensive line. And those guys have excelled in that, especially Donovan, because he's a smart guy, smart kid, a lot smarter than me. I don't know what major he's in. He's in a lot of classes, but I think it's engineering or something. But for him to be able to come out and put it together, whether it be an interception SFA, swapping the ball against Eastern Illinois on a quarterback sneak, last week the big sack, he shows up every single game, and you can tell by his week of preparation that he's going to be there. And he's a kid that you love working with and enjoy working with. So it's been a lot of fun for us and continuing to grow. This week we've got our work cut out for us. I know we'll get into Nichols in a minute, but their O-line is one of the best coach O-lines that, we're going to see. And, from last year, you watch it into this year, they've gotten even better, and it's led by their center. Roussel, he's a player. I mean, he's a smart guy, and you watch by the way they pad back, by the way they bump combo, extremely well coached, extremely smart, and they don't make mistakes up front. And they're able to move D linemen, and so we've got our work cut out for us. And so that's the thing for Donovan and the rest of the D line this week. How are we able to have success up front in that box is going to be big.
Well, you segued very well into that, so we'll talk about that. And you mentioned Tyler Roussel. I think he's been there since I've been here. He seemingly has. There may have been one or two Roussels in Thibodeau, probably a few. But, I mean, he's been there a while, and when you get into this league and other sports we've talked about, we've always called it an old guys league. So if you've got third-year guys, fourth-year guys, is it the same way in football?
It really,
even with the changing dynamic of roster building and transfers.
It absolutely is, and you look at Helm being in that system. The offensive coordinator has been there the entire time, and so that's the thing of he's familiar with what they do, and they're very clean in what they do. They're very efficient, and it makes them good. And like I said, the way they understand the looks they're getting, how they're going to block it, it makes them a dangerous offense. And it doesn't hurt. They've got Guggenheim back there who, I remember from last year, he's a load. He's hard to bring down, and, they've got Spears now that's having a heck of a year, and so they've got a dynamic stable of backs. And like I said, they're very clean up front. They don't make mistakes. They don't allow a lot of free runners back to the quarterback, and you have to be very smart and calculated with them because they'll move you. If you slant the wrong way, they'll take you, they'll displace you, move you out of gaps, and so you have to be smart with what you do. And I think it is for him. He kind of controls the offensive, line from the center position, and he's just smart, very smart. And he sees a backer go, he's going to come back with it, and he's very well coached, and they do a great job.
And by the way, they got to go on the outside, who had a top 10 play and another big play that kind of springboarded them into that win, and David Robinson Jr.
No doubt, and that's the thing they do a great job of off the top of the running game. They're very efficient in the passing game. They have a JUCO quarterback. You see earlier in the year he was getting his feet kind of rolling in their system and what they need to do, but the last couple weeks he's been very, very efficient, and they really mess with your eyes, have, different fake toss and go, screen and goes, things like that. Very consistent and effective in their passing game as well. And so that's where, as a defense, it's cut out for you. You have to be solid in what you do in your foundation and your rules, and it's going to be a good game. And that's the challenge to our kids of, we've preached from the beginning since I've been here of what we're building to as a physical defense, and now we're playing a physical offense this week, so it's going to be a fun game. I'm excited to see our kids step up to that challenge.
Almost feels old school.
Oh, a little old school feel to it, yes, sir.
Well, we won't go out of school. We won't go old school. We'll go new school. Up next, offensive coordinator Bo Blair as the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial, rolls on here on YouTube.
Doug here. Does anybody have any other questions?
Here's your coffee, sir. Here, take this.
Welcome back to the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial, joined now by Northwestern State Offensive Coordinator Bo Blair. And Coach, kind of the same thing we talked with Coach Laird about, another week where you had some sustained drives. Mm-hmm. You got some points out of them. You got 2 long field goals, which was great. I know that as an offense coordinator, though, you want to see 7s instead of 3s.
For sure. We definitely sustained drives, was good on third downs. Just got to find a way to punch it in and finish. We get down there to the high 30s every time, low 30s, and it's kind of like a hot zone where we got to get past that. Yes, sir.
That wall. Knock down the wall.
100%.
kind of ask Brad the same question. Do you feel like with these long drives, and you had a really good one that started in your own end, and I mean, you would have gone 85, 90 yards. You did score out of it, but you took some time off and moved the ball down the field. Do you feel like if you have one of those 60, 70, 80-yard drives that you finish, do you feel that the confidence will grow and maybe loosen this group up a little bit?
Yeah, just at the end of the day, everybody just wants to win. Everybody, whether it be in life, whether it be in football, I mean, whatever your job, your relationship, everybody just wants to win. And so, finishing, just finishing that little bit will go a long way, confidence in our team, confidence in our players, confidence in the coaches, confidence in the community. I mean, it's finding a way to finish. Definitely, you never know, one or two plays can change an entire game. That, like you mentioned earlier, a punt block by Corey King. That was a momentum change, a momentum swing, and things like that. More of those, and trust me, it's gonna finish good.
And you went down and finished that drive.
100%.
Newman scoring for the second time in as many weeks, and one of the things that as this team continues to improve on the penalties, only 3 penalties. Unfortunately, one gets called on a play that we mentioned, that's kind of the momentum plays, takes away a good run from Kenneth Lacey.
For sure. It was a great job and by the same guy we just mentioned, Kennard King. So Corey King, great job of blocking. Guy got away from me, pulled him a little bit, so caused he got a punt block. So, but he got that holding penalty right there and called that back, and kind of shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, we're in another situation. Another kid has a false start, then gets us backed up again. We end up punting, I think, that series, maybe kicked a field goal. But those are situations where those, every game's decided by one. There's one or two drastic plays that can alter a game. Not one play decides the game, is a factor of the game, but one or two can make it and break some type of change, some ripple effect, and those are it, but we got to find a way to bounce back, regardless of a holding penalty, regardless of a false start. How do we handle adversity? And the kids have handled it well. Right now we're not doing too well when it comes to the record, but these kids are bouncing back. They're competitive, and we're going to find a way this week.
And again, it's been the last couple of weeks, at least of practice, probably since the bye week, starting to stack some good weeks there. And as preparation continues to improve, in theory, Saturdays will improve.
For sure. And that's what we think, and that's what you should do. And, we stack good days on good days on good days, and no one's perfect. All we're asking is for progression,
sure.
And so we're getting better every week. If you compare it to the first 2 weeks and you compare it to now, we're moving the ball. We're finding ways to sustain drives. Now that's punching in, and we have practice laid out a little bit differently this week. That kind of has a simulation to finishing drives, and so hopefully this week of preparation will show it on Saturday.
Last 2 games, 45% on third downs, 50% against Eastern Illinois, then 40% last week against Lamar. Part of that sustaining those drives, is there a number that you want to hit that you feel, sure you'd love to be over 50% on third down. I think everybody would, but is 45%?
Yeah, so obviously it all depends. Is it 3rd and 1? Is it 3rd and 15? If you look at previously, for the first 2 games, we're in some. If you look at average, I think we're like 3rd and 13 because of penalties. But now we're averaging like 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5. So those are manageable areas. But holistic third downs, you want to be above 35%. Holistic third downs. But if you talk about 3rd and 1, you want to be 100% there. If you talk about 3rd and 5, you want to be about 50%. If you talk about 3rd and 11, you going 30%, and 3rd and 11, you're doing a dang good job in 3rd and 11, 3rd and 10. So it all depends. But average, you want to be in the high 30s. But being at 50%. Or 45%, that's good. Now, like I said, just because you get a couple little jabs in there, let's get a haymaker in there and punch one in the end zone.
Well, you did have a 3rd and long that was converted on a very nice play. Trarius Hawkins rolls out, finds Dennis Smith coming all the way across the formation. I think that was a 3rd and 9. So I mean, that's a big moment there for this team in terms of moving the football, in terms of maybe unlocking some of that confidence.
For sure. I think Dennis Smith, he played good this past game. So did Q, and finding a way to extend the play with his legs. And Dennis, understanding scramble drill. He comes across the middle and finds a way to connect.
Across the middle was where Trayvon Jones was working a lot this week, and we talked about confidence. There's a guy that does not lack in confidence and really any great personality, just magnetic young man. But a lot of things that people don't see with him. They'll see the catches, they'll see the celebrations, the animated nature that he is. He is, for a guy that you wouldn't necessarily look at and think, he likes to block. He's a good blocker and he likes to block.
For sure. People don't realize that he always says he weighs 220, but he weighs about 215 wet, soaking wet. But he blocks his tail off. Great hips, gets him through, plays dirty, wants to get after it. Smart kid, cerebral. Like I said, we always converted. He converted from an X to now a tight end, and now he's done a good job. Great leader. Tries to find a way. I mean, he was player of the week this week. He does everything right. And like I said, I mean, you said over the middle, and we're going to try to help him out, try to put the ball in his hands more. I mean, he's one of the guys that finds a way to break tackles and gets vertical, and he has really good catch radius, and so we got to find a way to attack him more.
Yeah, Nichols probably remembers that catch radius from the jump ball last year.
Oh, 100%.
Not often you can put an interception under a tight end's name.
Coach Glosser mentioned this. I totally forgot about it. He's like, when Trevon's on defense, he has a tackle, and he also has an interception. So, I mean, he is one of the best defensive players in the nation. I mean, just 2 plays, 1 tackle, 1 interception. So he's doing a good job from last year.
Well, let's hope it doesn't get to a jump ball scenario. I mean, that was a tremendous win last year, no doubt about it. You talked about confidence building. Mm-hmm. That was one that really kind of was a springboard last year. Heart attack wise and stress wise, you don't want it to go down to that, but you will go down there and face a team that has, throughout the time Tim Rebo's been there, kind of made its name with the defense.
For sure. It's hard to remember last year of everything of that whole situation. It was a crazy one. Once again, Corey King, he dropped a ball, but then all of a sudden he caught a 4th and 10, and thank God, and it allowed us to extend the drive. But it's a loaded box. They get after you. It's gonna be a lot of guys in the box. How they played Houston Christian was a little bit differently. How they played the rest of their opponents. So we really don't know how they're going to play us. We know they're going to be some type of one high shell. Just don't know if it's going to be cover 1, cover 3. But we'll find out and see what happens on Saturday. And they did a really good job of the transfer portal. Two DNs from La Tech. Tyler Morton is their safety. He's number 2 this year, and he can run. They're in cover 3, cover 1, and throwing a fade ball, and that guy's going to cross all the way across the field and gets a pick, and I'm like, what are we doing here? And this guy's fast. So they have really good DBs. They have a good defense. They did a good job of recruiting and getting in the transfer portal, and a great job of coaching. So it's going to be a good one.
Be good. Kind of old school. I think we talked with Coach Glosser, and it's this team you want to win in the trenches every week. And I mean, now that everyone spreads it out, and look, you came from Texas. You guys in the high school ranks were spreading it out long before just about anybody else. So y'all know that. But you also, as a former O-line, I don't know if you're ever a former O-line coach. It's not technically your title now, but I know you want to get in there and have your guys knock some head and win the game in the trenches. 100%.
I'm an O-line guy through and through. I love those guys, and I always miss coaching those guys because they're different. O-linemen, they're not me guys. They're team guys and want to get after it. And running backs, they're getting hit by 300-pound guys, and our biggest running back weighs 210. Smallest one weighs 170. Getting hit by a guy double his size. It's a grind. So definitely miss coaching the O-line, but I love what I do right now. I'm coaching holistic offense and being around everybody.
Well, you got to be a little crazy to get in there in that A gap and B gap and run right into somebody your own size or a little bit bigger. So,
yes, sir.
As a smaller guy, I don't have to worry about that. And as an older guy, definitely don't have to worry about it.
Yes,
Coach,
sir.
As always, thanks for being here. Thank you all for watching the Demon Huddle presented by Cross Financial Group. We'll be back next week following Northwestern State's trip to Nichols.